The 2020-21 NBA season has been a pretty good one for the Chicago Bulls. They're currently fighting for a playoff spot, and recently, as we know, they made a massive move, trading for two-time All-Star center Nikola Vucevic. And as you guys can tell from the title, I really like this move, and in today's video, I'm gonna be breaking down why I think the Chicago Bulls will be a playoff team and their bright future. However, before we do get started, make sure to hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you guys are new and enjoy the content on here so you don't miss out on any new videos. Plus, we're on the road to 500 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I will do a reaction to my first two videos ever, plus a Q&A. But with that being said, let's get this video started. Now, the Chicago Bulls, just take a look at this roster, after this trade. So, of course, let's start out with Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic. They got a really nice all-star duo in these two. Both of them this year have been having career seasons. They were both named all-stars and have just been amazing. That's all I can say. Zach LaVine has been having, somewhat of an MVP caliber season, you could say, averaging 28 points per game, 5 assists per game, and 5 rebounds per game, and is really good, brought up his efficiency to, pretty good to just being a really efficient scorer, to shooting 52% from the field and 44% from three. And then there's Nikola Vucevic. Nikola Vucevic this year has been really good and is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated players in the NBA. And that is one of the reasons why I really like this trade, for the Bulls. So far, he has been averaging 24.5 points per game, 4 assists per game, 12 rebounds per game, shooting 48% from the field and 41% from three. This duo should be really fun to watch, and they should be a pretty, just good in general. Now, given how well they are shooting the ball, whenever they run pick and rolls and pick and pops, they are going to be extremely hard to guard. I mean, first off, you got to deal with Zach LaVine, pulling up, to take a jump shot from 3 or mid-range, and he's probably going to nail that given how good of a shooter he has been this year. Or you got to deal with him attacking the basket. That, or you got to deal with him giving it to Nikola Vucevic to, just finish at the rim, or, of course, just take a jump shot from mid-range or 3. All I can say is that the pick and roll or pick and pop with Zach LaVine or Nikola Vucevic should be really dangerous and just really hard to guard. Now, going on to Wendell Carter Jr. a little bit, I know they had to give up Wendell Carter Jr. And Wendell Carter, of course, I will say he is a better defensive player, plus he is younger than Nikola Vucevic. But he is definitely an upgrade. I mean, for one, Wendell Carter had injury issues, and availability, it's the best ability, however they say that, but Nikola Vucevic doesn't exactly have the same injury issues that Wendell Carter Jr. has, so they can rely on Nikola Vucevic to be there, and not, have these, health problems, of course. Not only that, but it's not like Nikola Vucevic is an absolute liability on defense. I mean, this isn't Wendell Carter Jr. to Enes Kanter or something like that. Nikola Vucevic is like a neutral average defender. Think of something like Nikola Jokic or Karl Anthony Towns, just an average defender. Not a plus, not a minus, okay? Nikola Vucevic is actually not horrible on that end. Not only that, but he's just a better player overall, and of course, getting the better player is going to, most, in theory, boost your team and make them better. Nikola Vucevic is also just much better offensively than Wendell Carter is, and while Wendell Carter is younger, well, I'm gonna get into that a little bit later on. Anyways, not only that, but the Bulls supporting cast around them is, around Nikola Vucevic and Zach LaVine is really good. Lauri Markkanen this year has been a lot better, and we don't know if he will be brought back by the Bulls, as he will be a restricted free agent, I believe, this season. But, for now, he is on the team, and he's a pretty good offensive big man who so far has been averaging 18 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, shooting 48% from the field and 39% from 3. Patrick Williams has also been having a really good rookie season, has been making those people who doubted him and, scrutinized the Bulls for taking him, that early in the draft, he's making them look like idiots. He has been a really good defensive player and has also been pretty solid offensively. And right now, he's averaging numbers of 10 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, shooting 47% from the field and 38% from 3. Coby White has been pretty, decent and fine for the Chicago Bulls. Now, I will admit, A lot of Bulls fans love to hype up Kobe White and act like he's a perennial all-star level. He's going to be a perennial all-star. I don't think Kobe White will be that good, but I do think he can be a pretty decent player in the future. And so far, he has been averaging 15 points per game and 5 assists per game. Thaddeus Young is also a very good role player and has been having a really underrated season for the Bulls, averaging 12 points per game, 4 assists per game, shooting 59% from the field. Now, the Bulls have a really good core around Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, and this, to me, is looking like a playoff-level team, and their talent is one reason why I think they can be a playoff-level team. I mean, the team is great, and talent definitely should equal, get you to a decent amount of wins, and that can definitely boost the Bulls into the playoffs, But talking a little bit about what Nikola Vucevic provides to this team and how he basically improves them, I mean, for one, he's going to add a lot more shooting to this team, and he's going to provide Chicago with another consistent scoring option next to Zach LaVine, and the Bulls really didn't have that before this trade. Not only that, but the guy is a really good rebounder and should really help out the Bulls too. The Bulls supporting cast, as I said before, is also pretty decent, and that should also help this team. As well, if you want to have a playoff level team, you got to have 1 or 2 stars plus good role players and pretty decent depth around them, and the Chicago Bulls do in fact have that. Not only that, but Billy Donovan has been a really decent coach for this team, and he is a massive upgrade from Jim Boylen. I mean, Jim Boylen is god awful. Okay, I know I repeated a lot of words there, but I mean, I think you guys get the point, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys who have been following basketball for a few years now know how bad Jim Boylen is, especially if you are a Bulls fan. Now, looking at some of the teams that I do think they will compete with to, try and make the postseason, I think they will have to deal with a team like the Hawks, Hornets, Knicks, Pacers, Raptors, and maybe the Celtics. But I guess briefly breaking down these teams and whether they can beat them or not, the Hornets I definitely think I do think they will end up slipping out of the playoff picture, and I do think the Bulls can beat them, especially with LaMelo Ball being out for the rest of the year. So yeah, the Hornets, I do think they are a pretty decent team. However, I am kind of doubtful about them, remaining in the playoff picture, and I do think it is very, very possible for the Bulls to, knock them out. The Knicks, I do have to admit, have been pretty good this year, and if you ask me, the Knicks have been a really feel-good story this season. But even then, I'd probably put my money on the Bulls beating the Knicks. So yeah, the Knicks, I definitely think they can also beat. The Hawks are also pretty beatable, as well. Atlanta has been alright this year. They haven't exactly been, amazing. I do think it's possible for the Bulls to knock them out. Going over the Toronto Raptors, they got an alright team. Pascal Siakam, I have to admit, ever since that god-awful playoff series, has, the playoffs, I mean, he was not exactly that good. He has been a lot better, and he's still a pretty, good player. Fred VanVleet has been really good, and so is Kyle Lowry, but I definitely think the Chicago Bulls could knock out the Toronto Raptors. The Indiana Pacers, I have to admit, have been pretty, disappointing this year. They were looking pretty good at the beginning of the year, but they have definitely fallen off a bit. And if you ask me, the Bulls, I do think the Pacers would probably be one of the tougher opponents they'd have to deal with when it comes to making the playoffs, but I do think it's possible that the Bulls can give the Pacers a run for their money. Then going to the Boston Celtics, if they do have to, in fact, if the Celtics do, in fact, slip enough to the point where they do have to be competing with the Chicago Bulls, well, I do think this would be a pretty close series. Now, I think I might go with Boston here, but the Bulls can give them a run for their money, as the Celtics, well, the center position is not the strongest for them, and Nikola Vucevic is one of the best centers in the NBA, so we can definitely give the Celtics some issues there. But yeah, the Celtics, same case with the Pacers, I do think they'd be one of the tougher opponents, but hey, the Bulls can definitely, knock them out and give them some trouble. But personally, I got the Bulls finishing as the 6th or the 7th seed, and that is a nice, good step in the right direction, and it's not bad at all. I wouldn't expect them to make it past the first round, although they can definitely give a team a pretty good fight. but if they were matched up against a team like the Celtics, as I said before, or the Pacers, well, I don't doubt the Pacers make it that, rise that far. I mean, they can definitely give some teams some problems and a run for their money. But even then, I'd probably expect them to lose in the first round and not make it that far in the playoffs. But even then, that's still a nice step in the right direction, and this team is really getting there. Now, speaking a little bit about the future of this team, it is bright, okay? I have to admit, it is very bright. The Chicago Bulls, well, Zach LaVine, he is going to be a free agent in 2022. And bringing in Nikola Vucevic, well, it proves that they want to win now and make the playoffs right now. And if the Bulls can be a pretty good team over those 2 years, well, then that can convince Zach LaVine, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and stay with this team because they have proven to me that they want to win now, and their commitment to winning. That is why I think Nikola Vucevic for swapping out Wendell Carter Jr. for Nikola Vucevic was a good move. Wendell is younger, but it's showing their commitment to wanting to win now. Not only that, Lonzo Ball will be a restricted free agent this year, and we don't know if he will stay with the New Orleans Pelicans. And there were a lot of rumors about Lonzo Ball going to the Chicago Bulls. And this is their chance right now to, that would be their chance to get Lonzo Ball. So they could definitely get Lonzo in the offseason. But all I can say is that even if the Chicago Bulls, I do think they will be a playoff team this year. And even if they get bounced in the first round, the future is bright for the Bulls. And it is a really good time to be a Bulls fan. And they are on their way to becoming one of the better teams in the NBA. But with that being said, that'll wrap up today's video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to hit that like button, as it really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you guys are new, and enjoy the content on here so you don't miss out on any new videos. Plus, we're on the road to 500 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I will do a reaction to my first 2 videos ever. But with that being said, I'm out, you guys.